What's going on, everyone? Tatiani Favors here, your tax business coach. Hi, YouTube. What's happening? So, in today's video, we are going to discuss how to price your tax preparation services. Okay. And so, for those of you all who do not know me, let me introduce myself. I am Tatiani Favors. I am a tax business coach, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm a business coach to tax professionals. And what I do is I have the great and perfect opportunity to develop tax professionals into business owners. And I help people start, build, and scale profitable tax businesses. Okay. So I've been in the taxation industry. This is my 18th tax season, and I have been working in the coaching and consulting space for the past 8 years. So I know a lot about a lot in this industry. Okay. So before we get started, let's do all the YouTubey things. So I want you to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you are trying to start, build, or scale a profitable tax business. Heavy on the profitable and heavy on the business. Okay, you hear me? So let's go ahead and get into it because a lot of people, even though we're in tax season now, it's still January. We're super early. Tax season has only been in effect for the past like 6 days. Okay. So we're still early. But what I'm noticing is that a lot of tax professionals who are actively participating in this tax season are either still charging too low or still very unsure about what they actually should be charging, okay? What their prices should be for tax prep services. And because they don't know, because you don't know what to charge and what that looks like, then you're not confident in selling your tax prep services because you're not confident in the amount of money that you are asking from your people, okay? So I want you to be confident in your prices. If this is your price, say this is the service that I offer, tax preparation to these group of people, and here is my price, period. Okay. When you don't have that confidence, when you don't believe you, it's hard to get other people to believe you, and it's hard to get other people to actually spend money with you, shop with you, and for you to get more clientele. Okay. So let's go over how to price your tax returns and what your options are. So I'm going to share my screen so y'all won't just be looking at me this whole time. Let's go ahead and share my screen really quickly so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you all should see my screen. And let me just make sure everything is on the up and up so you all can see everything. Okay, cool. Because I wanted, I'm getting a little length with my hair, so I definitely don't mind you all seeing the large picture of me, but I also want you all to see what I'm talking about more importantly, so you can get an idea. I know a lot of people have different learning distinctions. So verbally is one, but also visually, if you could see certain things, that'd be really cool. So first, before we get into what you should charge, let's get into how you can charge. And we're going to discuss during this video the 3 pricing methods, okay? So there are many different methods. There are many different pricing methods, okay? Excuse me one second, guys. There are a few pricing methods that you can utilize in order to price your tax services. In this video, we're going to review 3, okay? So by the form, by the hour, and the simplified tiered system, okay? So let's get into what I mean by each of these. Now, by the form, this method has a fee for each form that is required to complete a taxpayer's tax return, okay? So this means that the more robust a tax return is, the more expensive the tax prep fee is, of course. So This charging by the form, it results in a more equitable, consistent, and fair pricing method. All right. Charging by this form, charging by the form eliminates the need to track hourly billing and makes the billing process a little easier. Okay. So let's go over an example so you can understand how by the form pricing method is. So an example, you have taxpayer Jane Doe, which is your client. She itemizes her deductions, which of course is Schedule A, and she also owns a couple of rental properties, which is Schedule E. So the cost breakdown would look like this. And of course, your numbers can be different. So again, this is an example. But Form 1040, okay, everyone knows Form 1040, that is the form that individuals file their tax return on. That base fee is $250. So let's talk about the base fee really quickly, okay? There's a starting fee, aka a base fee. This base fee is the least amount of money someone will pay you for your tax preparation services, okay? The least amount of money someone will pay you for your tax prep services. What do I mean by this? Let's do an example within an example. Let's say someone comes to you with one W-2, nothing else. They don't have any kids, one W-2, single, that's it. What is the minimum amount of money you will accept to prepare a tax return? Whatever amount that is your base fee. I personally don't think it should be anything below $250. I will go to $200 for those of you all who have such a crazy mental block about pricing, but I don't think that you should be preparing any tax return less than $250. And that's still low. Okay. So I don't care if someone comes to you with a half a W-2, which doesn't even make sense. But for emphasis, one W-2, nothing else, your base fee should be $250. Okay. So that is your base fee. Then on top of that, depending upon the taxpayer circumstances, will depend upon the amount, the total amount of the tax preparation fee. So in this example, Jane Doe, she itemizes her deductions. So that's Schedule A. Let's say we have $75 fee attached to Schedule A. And then Schedule E, let's say we have $150 amount attached to Schedule E for a total federal tax prep fee of $475. Okay, of $475. So this is an example of by the form. As you can imagine, if the taxpayer has additional forms, then the fee increases. So say the tax professional traded stocks and stuff and has Schedule D and Schedule B. Say they have a small business, they're a single member LLC and files on a Schedule C. Okay, that'll be additional amounts. How you would charge by the form is, of course, like I said, have your base fee, and then before you even start to get tax professionals, have all of your prices attached to the worksheets and the schedules that you want to charge for. So you have Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C, D, E, E2, okay? Then if you want to charge for the state tax return, you can. If you want to charge for child tax, dependent care expense, if you want to charge whatever forms and stuff that you want to charge for, that's fine. Just make sure that you put a price by each form. How do you determine the price by each form? Well, it just depends on how much work is happening with that form. In this example, Schedule E is a little bit more than Schedule A. Schedule A, it has a few categories on Schedule A. You have your out-of-pocket healthcare, your job expenses, your mortgage taxes, ad valorem taxes, things of that nature. Those don't require too much calculation. You can just get those numbers. However, a Schedule E, if someone owns rental property, and 150 is probably the minimum, the absolute minimum I would charge for Schedule E. I would actually charge probably a little more. But a Schedule E, if someone owns rental property, then you have to get the income. You have to calculate the income and expenses for that rental property to see what the net income is, to see what this taxpayer is going to be taxed on, what if they've had a profit from this rental property or a loss, and how that intertwines with the rest of the tax return. But it's more involved than a Schedule A. Just like a Schedule C, which is profit and loss from a business, is more involved. Okay, you actually have to calculate some things. It's almost like a mini tax return within itself. So I don't want you all to cut yourself short, because these different worksheets, these different schedules require a certain amount of effort, calculation, knowledge, all of that. And I want you to make sure that you are preparing these tax returns and also attaching a price to each schedule and worksheet that is sufficient for your time, your energy, your experience, and knowledge. Okay, let's go to the next pricing method, which is by the hour. By the hour, very simple. Okay, your price, and here's an example. Your price is $75 an hour, and a tax return takes you 3 hours to complete. Then your total tax preparation fee will be $225. Very to the point. One benefit of a by the charging, let me start over. One benefit to using this method is that it accounts for tax returns that may take a considerable amount of time to prepare. Okay, so sometimes a tax return can take an hour, sometimes a tax return can take 5.5, 6 hours, depending upon if it's a business return, depending upon how many schedules they have, and all of that. So, of course, the longer you work on the tax return, the more you get paid. However, one of the cons, I would say, to charging by the hour is that many people can dispute it. So it's like, it took you 5 hours to complete this. Well, my last tax prepared only took them 2 hours. It's debatable. It's debatable. However, by the form, it's not debatable. Either you're itemizing your deductions or not. Either you have rental property or not. It's very black and white. Either you have a side business or you don't. You get what I'm saying? So they can't really debate the different worksheets that's involved on the tax return. But by the hour, if you tend to have problematic clientele, then they can say 6 hours, it took you this long. Like it's a conversation piece when it shouldn't be. So I would let you all know about that. Also, the third pricing method, simplified tiered system. Okay, many companies are adopting a more transparent pricing model. And I say transparent because that's the word that they use. I'm finding it in this industry. People are like, we have a transparent pricing model. It's not that transparent to me, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Okay, so this pricing system makes pricing points a little easier for both the tax preparer and tax client. Kind of. However, you must define what simple tax return is, what moderate tax return is, what complex tax return is. Okay, and what they include. So you can have something like this on your website. Okay, simple is 200, moderate is 325, complex is 500. But you have to define those. Every taxpayer's tax circumstances are different and they vary. So you have to define what is a simple tax return and what worksheets go into what qualifies it to be a simple, what qualifies a tax return to be moderate, what qualifies it to be complex. And that's when it doesn't become so transparent, because if you are posting something like the simplified tier system on your website and you have simple, moderate, complex, right? Then it becomes very sticky when you're trying to explain on your Website, okay, simple means this, that, and the third. Moderate means A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But complex means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It becomes too much for the client. They get confused. You get confused. They go find another tax preparer. Okay. So it can be simplified, but it can get real tricky real quick. Personally, I love by the form. It's just very black and white. Either you do or you don't. Either you have or you do not have. Okay. I love, and I have charged by the hour before. I've never used a simplified tier system, but I know some people who do, and it works well for them. And I've tried by the form and by the hour. By far, I love by the form. All of my students and mentees, when they transfer to by the form, they love it, and they now feel like they are getting paid what they should be getting paid. Okay. So let's talk about that. So that's just my personal favorite by the form. Now that you have, now that you have figured out what method you want to charge by, now let's talk about pricing your services and how you can do that. And a way that you can do that is by these three things can help you actually price your service. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Yeah. These three things can help you determine your tax preparation service price and what it will be. Okay. So a way to accomplish this is, of course, market research. One of the ways to help you price your tax services is market research. You want to research the average price for tax return preparation in your geographical area, and websites like National Society of Accountants have a fee breakdown on their annual report. They're usually a year behind. So if we're in 2023 now, you might get their 2021 breakdown. 2022 breakdown may come a little in the next few months or something like that, but it'll give you a good idea of what people are charging in your area. Okay. Again, once you figure out the pricing method, then now it's time to figure out how much you're actually going to charge these people. And a lot of you get stuck with the numbers. I don't want y'all just guessing, like pulling a number out of the sky, like here's a number, I like this number, this is my favorite number. I really want your numbers to be competitive, your pricing to be competitive, but also true to what you want to offer, that is beneficial to you and all your overhead expenses. Of course, you want to make sure that you are paying business expenses with business income, but also making sure that you're not shooting yourself in the foot either and undercharging. Okay. So this is why you go through this, just to get that confidence that you need to price how you want to price. So we talked about market research. Now let's talk about pricing your competitors. Now, this one is kind of like my favorite because pricing your competitors can seem like an episode of Inspector Gadget, right? Like, at least to me, like I really enjoyed this process, especially back in the day when I was doing this. So if your competitors' prices are not listed publicly anywhere on their website, their social media, whatever, you can pretend to be a potential client at your local or online tax preparation company. And when you do this, you either call them or fill out their little form. But the questions that you want to ask them or what you want to determine is A, what are their prices and how do they price? So you want to know what their prices are. And now, since you know the different methods of pricing, you can kind of identify how they are pricing. Okay. Then B, you want to know what is their intake process. Okay. So how are they intaking and onboarding you? What does that look like? All of that, because depending upon the type of systems and SOPs a company has and what the experience of the taxpayer is, that can also influence their pricing. If they know that that the experience that you will have as their client or their clients are experiencing fantastic customer service or an experience, then that definitely enhances the pricing. Okay. Also, you want to know what type of clientele they cater to. Okay, so are they catering to everyone, or are they catering to truckers, business people, hairstylists, medical workers? Like, do they have a niche? Okay, and then also any other services they may provide. And so all of those things contribute to how they price. And you want to know these questions because, again, all of those factors may influence their pricing. So that can give you an idea of why they price. Maybe someone who prices, who base starts at $500, but they, have a niche and they have a great intake process and all of that. You can see why they charge so much versus someone who charges $99. Their processes and things might not be so great. You can actually compare that if you gather that data. Okay, and then also, of course, professional experience. Your professional experience. You must consider your own tax preparation experience and answer the following questions. A, how many years have you been preparing taxes? If this is your first year preparing taxes, it doesn't mean that you have to charge $30, $100 for tax prep services. But what it does mean is that you just need to make sure that you are considering the level of experience and knowledge and service that you can actually provide to your clients, especially if this is your first year preparing tax returns and you're actually preparing the tax returns in your business, then you definitely have to consider that. You also want to consider the level of tax preparation you are proficient in. So, are you very good at simple tax returns, or can you handle moderate or complex tax returns as well? And then, of course, do you prepare business tax returns? And when I say business tax returns, I'm not referring to Schedule C business. I mean 1065 partnerships. I mean 1120s, C corps, and 1120s, S corps. Okay, those actual business returns. Okay, can you prepare those? And if you can, then your price can go up a little more, but you must consider your experience. Like I wouldn't feel right by just saying, okay, yeah, don't consider your own experience, because someone like me who's been in the taxation industry for 18 years, my 18th tax season, and this is your first tax season, I'm going to know way more than you, period. Because not only because of my tax law training, but just experience. Okay, just my experience with not only dealing with clients, but my experience and how the tax law works with varying groups of people and all of that. So you have to consider that. So first, figure out the type of pricing method that you will have, and then you want to go ahead and figure out what actual numbers you will attach to your tax prep services. Okay, so that is all I have for this video. Again, like, share, comment, subscribe. In the description box below, if you are an active participant in the 2023 tax season, every tax season I have a Tax Boss Mentor Support Group, which includes weekly meetings and a private Telegram group where each Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a weekly meeting, which is me, myself, not a team member, but me leading the meetings, answering your questions, because things happen during the tax season. Okay, things happen during the tax season, and you may be like, I don't know how to deal with this, but you'll have a home and a community to help you through it. You can ask me or the other people in this group questions, and it's just such a safe space for tax professionals and to help you get through tax season. Okay, so definitely join the 2023 Tax Boss Mentor Support Group. The link is below. If you have any questions for me, I want to hop on my calendar to see how I can help you during this tax season, or even if you want to start a tax business, definitely consider joining Tax Boss Academy. You can click the link below as well and schedule some time with me. And until next video, guys, I'll see y'all later. Peace.